date their lives changed forever was Wednesday, July the 24th.
He was always wanted to be the centre of attention. He was always playing, he was always smiling, he was always happy. He was funny, loving, naughty sometimes. There was everything in a child that you could wish for. It was my angel.
Just got to keep that hope for Ben's sake, because we love him too much to give up. Won't give up.
See, when Ben disappeared, the internet didn't exist. Mobile phones didn't even exist. So now, as obviously, the world's moved forward, we can actually bring Ben's case forward into, the 21st century.
It is really important, and the good thing is with the new website that's just been brought out, it's actually got a printable poster with this age progression on. I think it's 18 languages it's available in, so actually this poster can be printed out throughout the world.
A full-scale search is continuing for the missing Sheffield toddler who disappeared.
The 21-month-old baby disappeared in the region of Icalese in the northeast of the island. It's feared that
it was horrific. Not only are you in a foreign country, you don't understand the language. You're trying to come to terms with something that only happens in films or nightmares. I don't expect, I'm never going to have that fairy tale ending, am I? Where he comes back and he moves back here with me and his sister and his nanny and his granddad. I'm never going to have that. All those years have gone. But if I could just see him and see that he was all right, and even if he just wanted to keep in contact, I would have to settle for that.
20 years down the line, Kerry's now hoping the explosion of social networking sites could provide the breakthrough.
In 1991, there were no mobile phones, there were no internet. It didn't actually get that impact of, hundreds and hundreds, millions of people involved in the search for Ben. He could be sat in front of a TV screen thinking, that looks like me. If you think that there's anything particularly strange within your life, how you've been brought up, if you've never seen, newborn photographs of yourself, or, you've not got no medical records, get in touch. You might not be, but there's a possibility that you could be.
For Kerry and all her family, the case will never be closed until she knows the truth. But she has one hope for the son she's never seen grow up.
That the pain that I've suffered, it was worth it to him. That traumatic time that he was taken, just hope that it was all worth it for him and that he hasn't had a bad life. Because then what would have been the point?
It was about February or March 1992. I was surprised seeing this tourist family boy looking at me. I said, hello. And he said to me, my name is Ben.
The words of retired gynaecologist Sotiris Papachristoforou, who may have witnessed the only credible sighting of Ben Needham in 20 years.
I was about 2.5 years old. I didn't know that the missing boy was called Ben at the time. So I said, oh, your name is Ben. He was keeping looking at me and didn't say anything more. Probably he didn't know much more to say.
A few months later, he saw the boy again. He was intrigued because the toddler was with a woman from a nearby gypsy camp who he recognised as a former patient, a woman he knew couldn't have children.
I was surprised because the child was not a gypsy child. I was in the yard of the hospital and I saw a little boy running towards me. But he didn't reach me because a young gypsy woman grabbed him, hit him in the back, spunk him and dragged him away.
The doctor thought it so unusual to see a blonde English-speaking child in a town where it's rare to see anyone who isn't Greek that he reported it to the police. They took no action as he hadn't witnessed any crime.
They were looking at me and didn't say anything. They looked and they're not interested. But I thought I was nothing insignificant.
The doctor came forward after watching the Greek TV show Light at the End of the Tunnel, a hugely popular live programme which tries to reunite missing people with their families. Its influential presenter, Angeliki Nikilouli, agreed to feature Ben's disappearance after we contacted the show and pleaded the case needed more publicity in Greece. And they just hope that being on this programme, featuring on this programme, will gain momentum to get Ben back to the family. The Greek version of the Help Find Ben Needham Facebook page was featured, as well as the latest image of what Ben could look like now, seen for the first time in Greece thanks to Calendar. Half of the 3-hour broadcast was devoted to his disappearance. The day after, following heated debate on the Greek economy, Ben's disappearance was making national news headlines. The Greek police faced criticism from the Needham family in the early days of the search, but in truth, a small island police force was faced with an enormous task, the like of which has not been witnessed on a holiday island before or since.
Of course the Greek police is still actively looking for him. He is a missing child, and until we have evidence of his whereabouts, we will continue to look for him. This disappearance has shocked Greek society, and the feeling hasn't changed since then.
Dr. Papachristoforou has reported his findings again to Greek police, this time in Athens, where he now lives. The information we've found has been passed to Interpol.
More than 1,000 people worldwide have taken part in a balloon release to mark the 20th anniversary of Ben Needham's disappearance from Kos. The event was organised by Scott Morrison, who created the Help Find Ben Needham website from his home in Scotland. Youngsters from his church in Peterhead were told about Ben's story before balloons carrying his picture were released. Ben's cousins, Holly and Asa, took part from their home in South Yorkshire, and even children from California were motivated to back the campaign. Ben went missing from the Greek island in July 1991.
Going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. Wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Their shadows searching in the night. Streetlight people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill, paying anything to roll the dice. Just one more
After 20 years spent searching for Ben Needham, there have now been 2 breakthroughs in 2 days. A potential new lead obtained exclusively by Calendar.
I said hello, and he said to me, my name is Ben.
And now, in light of that new information, a commitment from the British government that the case will be looked at again.
I'm overwhelmed. I think it's absolutely fabulous news. At last, basically. You know, it's 20 years on, but better late than never.
Kerry Needham's ordeal began on the Greek island of Kos in July 1991. Ben, aged just 21 months old, vanished.
Somebody has taken him.
Kerry became a mother in a foreign country, facing every parent's nightmare. Ben's disappearance prompted a huge search of the area, including ports and airports. But if he was abducted, he could have been whisked off the island within hours. Allegations that travelling gypsies took him have never been proven, but the city of Larissa, 220 miles north of Athens, could be pivotal in providing the answer. On the outskirts of the city lives a large Roma gypsy community, and it was at nearby Larissa Hospital that a now retired doctor spotted a blonde boy matching Ben's description 8 months after he disappeared. Speaking exclusively to Calendar, this may be the only credible sighting of Ben Needham in 20 years.
I didn't know that the missing boy was called Ben at the time. So I said, oh, your name is Ben. He was keeping looking at me and didn't say anything more. Probably he didn't know much more to say.
And it was to Larissa 5 years later that the British consul in Athens was called, believing a handover was about to take place after it was given information from a prisoner in Larissa jail. This potential new breakthrough only came to light after a live television programme agreed to a request from ITV Yorkshire producer Mark Whitty to feature Ben's disappearance on a national Greek television programme. The doctor only came forward after seeing the show. And this afternoon, less than 24 hours after we broadcast that interview, Ben Needham's case has been raised here at the House of Commons by Kerry Needham's MP, and it's provoked a commitment from the highest levels of British government.
Mr Speaker, it appears that new evidence may have come to light, and Kerry believes that any investigation or review of her case would be helped by securing political commitment to her cause at the top level of government, as we have seen in the case of Madeleine McCann.
The Honourable Lady will appreciate that I would not want to comment in detail on the case across the floor of the House, but I would happily make time to see her and her constituents to discuss this further.
You've got to keep finding the strength every day to be able to continue your fight. But when MPs are getting involved, you know, the Foreign Office are getting involved, it just allows you that little bit of extra strength to go, right, come on, we've got to keep fighting this. And while ever we're being backed and we're being supported, it makes things a whole lot easier. You don't feel alone.
This will be the first meeting Kerry Needham has had with the Foreign Office in the 2 decades she's spent searching for her son. The 20th anniversary of Ben Needham's disappearance on Sunday will now be marked with a potential new lead and a fresh glimmer of hope.